All right, so this could end up being a very peculiar game. Welcome back, folks, to more Boulder Bay action. I feel like it's been a hot second since we've had some Boulder Bay action on the channel. I love this map. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite maps to watch from a competitive standpoint. As we're going to have a China versus Mongol matchup. Blaze going to be on those Mongols. We finally get some more gameplay for this lad. Only plays a few games a day, if that. Seems like it's become more rare to see him. Still keeping pretty competitive on the rankings. I believe he is in the top 30 at the time of speaking, I want to say. Or maybe top 40. Meanwhile, his opponent, Nevix. Nevix, now this was an interesting one because I tried to find info on Nevix. Nevix is currently 71 on the leaderboards compared to Blaze's at 33. The part that was interesting wasn't that, though. It wasn't that he's almost, double the rank away. It's that when I search for Nevix, the only person I can find in existence is an Overwatch player. A Swedish off-tank player who played for Toronto Defiant. I think it wasn't even that recently, I want to say. It was back in 2020, I think he last played. So, this could be that guy. Part of me wants to say it is. I'm not going to 100% commit to it, but I'll probably bait some people in with a thumbnail that makes it look like Reinhardt is playing Age of Empires. Because I think this might be the guy. I don't know. You'd be surprised, folks. I think someone that we don't talk about is like cross-pollination. You'd be surprised at how good some pros are in different games. I actually missed that, by the way. Really big shout out to orgs that used to do that, and also big shaming of orgs who stopped doing that. So back in the earlier days of esports, you used to have cool kind of play nights, right? Where I think it's Ninja in Pajamas had it at one stage. What they'd do is they'd have things with their CSGO and Dota. They had these situations where the Dota players would go play CSGO, and then later on in the evening, the CSGO players would come play Dota. And it was really surprising because you saw some amazing performances out of the FPS players on the mobile players on FPS. And I wish that more orgs would do that as like content creation pieces, certain days. I know, of course, these, this is the craft. These players play like 12+ hours a day. They hard grind their game, and I appreciate that. I just feel like you should never underrate the value of content creation, man. And I love seeing orgs that support that and encourage that, and I'd love to see that more. I'd love to see, Team Secret, for example, come back in Age of Empires. That's a perfect example. Have the Dota boys play some Age of Empires, have the Age of Empires team play some Dota. I'd love to see what happens from that. But yes, let's see if Overwatch can beat Age of Empires. Blaze, of course, played a lot of Age of Empires 2 and has been quite the beast every time I've seen him, especially on Boulder Bay. I feel like I haven't seen him lose on Boulder Bay yet. And he's pretty brutal with his strategies. And to talk about the Open, he did move his Mongols town center really close to the shoreline and started investing heavily onto the water. And he's up against China. China, of course, the Civ that aren't really known for the sea dominance. They're not, they're not the Russ. They're not the French, right? They're kind of mid-tier. They're not bad. They're not great either. I think one of the things that they get is... I'm trying to remember now. There is definitely... I'm going to do the cheat sheet I never do anymore. They definitely get something in water. Yeah, that's what. They work faster. So he's able to build up an army quicker than the Mongols. I feel like Mongols get a bad rap, though, because one thing I'll say about them is their junk ships are inappropriately named. You don't really see any details here about how amazing they are outside of transport ships, but I've seen Mongol players just decimate enemy fleets of galleys because of these junk ships, which, as I said, are just not appropriately named at all. Like, 120 wood, 90 gold, they're cheaper than other ones, and they actually blast their way through enemy fleets pretty quick in number. So all in all, fishing advantage definitely there for Nevix, though. And we already see it, right? This is one dock. Yeah, I think he got there a little bit sooner, but it's 3 compared to 7. Getting there a little bit sooner doesn't make up this difference. It's the fact that he's producing these fishing boats every 20 seconds, and his opponent takes 25, right? So think of China, if you're on a water map from the eco perspective, the same way you think of France from the eco perspective. Not on the same length, because of course you get the research cheaper as well. But on the food front, right, it's that, think about that 18 seconds versus 20 seconds. It's that same comparative there with the extra 5 seconds saved on each fishing boat. Interesting move out of Blaze. I talked about this before. When we talk Silver Tree, like, it's almost always DSM, right? The one map that I think you can regularly consider Silver Tree is exactly this one. So cool idea by him. There's only one marketplace on land for you to trade with in the center, but if you move up and control these choke points, you will be able to get a ridiculous caravan going, because remember, the other thing is, over time, with more traders going, you get additional buffs and extra resources returned. Now, the catch, of course, the balance point for this Mongols is, even though it's Boulder Bay and it is a choke point, you have to defend with a mobile defense force. You can't build, you know, a palisade wall, a stone wall to hide behind. So if China identifies this and gets aggressive, they'll punish it. The bad news for Nevix is he's chosen to go the Imperial Academy. He's playing China as well. They're not the quickest to get out. They're not the quickest to intercept. So it could be very quickly that Blaze finds intense and immense value out of the Silver Tree before it actually maybe later on gets counted out and shut down. Yeah, Water Advantage, second dock going up for Nevix. It's getting ridiculous, up to 9 now. So Tech Up achieved pretty much the same time, just 2 seconds difference, I think that was. And straight away, you can see, like, he's producing them double. Because the other thing we didn't mention, by the way, and we should have mentioned, he put it next to the Uvu. So he's double producing the traders. And remember, he's going to get that caravan. He's going to get those buffs going quickly, right? Like, eventually you can go to the Stone Commerce later on in the game, and that's when you get the Stone as well as Gold. Yeah. Let him chugga chew on their way out. Wait, have I been baited? I could have sworn there is a buff over time. I might be wrong. No, I think it's to do with the outposts. The outposts need to go down. That's the main thing, right? So you get the yam speed. There you go, 15% extra for 20 seconds. Which is why he hasn't put one in his base yet, right? He's just putting them out like this because they don't need to be like all touching, basically, to get the benefits. That being said, does he know where like, what's going on here? Okay, it looked like they weren't going for the trade, but they are, yeah. So already up to 4. Already putting some pressure in the enemy base with the Khan. Mainly just scouting out what's happening here. And it is going to be a switch into junk ships now starting to come out for China. Meanwhile, on Nevix's side, I don't think he's bothering to invest. No. So he stayed on one dock. And I think what will eventually happen is he's going to spam out as many Silver Trees, like caravans as he can, right? The traders here. And then he's going to shift this into the corner after he's kind of expended the value there. Because otherwise, your economy here is potentially exposed against a naval attack. Yeah, so 2 junks here should kind of define the power of the Chinese Navy. And that should deter Blaze from even thinking of investing on the water. Yeah, he just cancels it all out. So he's going to gather as much fish as he can close by and then just accept that he's not going to be in water for long. That being said, this is kind of fine because, of course, he is starting to trade in the gold. You can see getting 124 gold as well as 11 food and wood every trader. This adds up very fast. And this is the power of Mongols, by the way. This is why I think if you want to be an eco boom in Mongol, this is possibly the best map in the game for you. And yeah, meanwhile, on the gold line as well, getting the double broad axe, so he's able to gather that wood even quicker. If we look at the eco side of things, we expect Nevix to be ahead at this stage, right? Because he's got the food, and then that on the water, that allows him to, you know, focus and prioritize into the gold more, which he also has an Imperial Official working on. So Nevix doing a really good job of just boosting his economy early. But once these caravans start to come in, that's where the gold should favor Blaze, because each of these caravans, I won't say every, like, a minute and a half-ish, maybe, returning almost 200 gold. And how many is he up to now? So 2, 3, 5. Oof. Up to 9 already. And there you go. So he moves it back. This is what we're talking about, right? He got the initial value out of the double and reached a critical number. And now he's just going to shift it back here so that he gets the longer trade route, which means they will return even more gold to this Silver Tree. Meanwhile, moving out. Really well done by Nevix to understand this is going on, especially on Boulder Bay. The outposts are already down, so they'll already just force the Lancers away. And he's trying to find these caravans, but not going to spot them yet. And if Blaze puts enough of these down, remember he can just garrison the caravans in the outposts. There's not enough horsemen to threaten the caravan yet. But he does spot the horseman. He'll back off for the moment. He can't keep trading. He needs to actually get a military force out. That's the problem he has right now. He does start to build in the barracks, but I feel like this is too late. I think this should have been happening sooner, but there's a reason it wasn't. You can see it right here. And this is why he got the broad axe as well. He's gone for the double TC. We know Blaze loves to do this. He regularly goes for the double trip TCs in these choke point type maps. We usually see it with civs that are more turtly, though. I don't usually expect this out of a Mongol player like this, but I think with the natural nature of the spawn, right, where this tree line is just an amazing defense. Like this, we didn't even talk about how ridiculous this tree line generation was. I think that's why he felt confident to go for this secondary TC so quickly, identifying his opponent can't do much about it. And by the way, there's that eco we talked about. Look at Blaze's gold right now. Over 1,000 at that stage. Food's coming up quite nicely as well. Wood production is pretty much matched between these two. But the difference is going to be that now Blaze will boom because he has that second TC. And he's starting to hold all these traders here Khan just distracting the Horseman. Big mistake there. He's going to lose it here. He didn't micro this correctly, so Blaze will be able to back off with the Caravan in time. But the Spearmen, are they coming out yet? He's building a few of them, but he's too busy focused on the step readout. So tech up is beginning. Nevix, I think, just triggered his as well. Yep, straight into the astronomical clock tower. So he just wants to get a little fleet of Springles out, because then you can actually just hold this Caravan line and not only stop them from generating income for Blaze, but actually insta-snipe them. Crazy part for Blaze, by the way. Although he did lose like the ability to trade with this for the moment, keep in mind that just one return on each of these traders paid for them, right? You got 185 gold for each of these, and these are half price, remember, out of this building. So only 75 wood and 37 gold. So even just one trade makes its cost back and then gives you some. And Spearman is out. Making him choose. I like this move. Maybe you lose a trader or two, but if he loses the Horseman army, how does he keep pressure up? And instead, Nevix is just going to back off completely. Remember, the Horseman, absolutely abysmal at fighting in melee against Spearmen. And now with the racks here as well. Really cool moves out of Blaze here just to secure very quickly the Caravan line. And that means that Nevix is going to back up completely, because remember, he went for this tech up. Blaze sees this, so he knows his opponent wasn't continuing to invest in the military pressure in the fuel age. The problem for Nevix is he maybe thinks his opponent invested more than he actually did in repelling this Horseman force. As the step readout, although it is very slow because he didn't invest many people on it, is going to complete now. And this is where he can boom on the gold front. Not that you necessarily need to, right? Because you've already got the advantage of the silver tree gathering you so much gold. So it's more about like efficient use of the worker force, right? Where he can stick some people on this gold, but he doesn't need to stick, you know, the whole kit and caboodle. He doesn't need 1,000,001 workers working a gold line with a step readout to make it a worthwhile, you know, landmark choice. And I think we see that right when we look at the breakdown. 20, 22, and I mean, 4 because they're moving, but he's going to have, what, probably like 8 people on gold. And it's because he doesn't need it. Just look how many, that's just how much gold this is bringing in. Remember, these caravans move fairly fast. 1.15 tiles now at this point because of the outposts. 185 gold each time. And he has to be up to like 15 at this point. So that's a hefty amount of gold each time. So Flea will move across from Nevix. So the dock will be taken down eventually. This is where the mistakes are kind of made from Blaze. Like his goat line, right, can be exposed. He needs to move his TC, but he refuses to do so. He's just going to hold it here. And it's not a bad choice. Look at the damage being done to these junk ships. They're just being eviscerated by the TC. So nicely done. Understanding that actually he doesn't have to move this away because it's only junk ships, right? If we're talking like Hulks coming out, or war junks rather, as they're called, then it gets scary to keep your TC there potentially. But even then, I think with 7,000 health on this thing, good luck getting through it, right? And then Rack's being prepped. Spriggles coming out, as we talked about. You're China. You have the clock tower. If you're not building Spriggles, why are you playing China? The problem is the eco that's starting to just be, you know, milked by Blaze, right? It's currently sitting at 70 eco. If I compare it to Nevix, he's keeping up, but remember, most of that is fishing, right? And fishing will keep you in this game for a long time. But I think the difference is that because of all the gold access right now, if this game goes into that late game situation, we've seen it before in Boulder Bay, how quickly these gold veins start to dry up as you pick them one by one. And if you can maintain a caravan as the Mongol players, you have this insane late boom in the 40, 50 minute time on Boulder Bay, where you're able to keep sustaining things like Lancers and your opponent cannot. Sneak in. Scout's going to be taken out. Military just really not being amped up yet. In fact, so he's going into the Shamans. He's got 2 of these temples. I'm wondering what the plan is here. This can't just be about the relic gathering, can it? I mean, it has to be, right? It could be this, the monastic shrines. I think maybe it's the monastic shrines, right? Because then you can get the improved productions without having to be near the Uvu. It looks like that is, yeah, that's what it's about. So he's going for the blacksmith now. Interesting idea, actually. I mean, I say that it's for imp age, right? So maybe not. The problem is he's just sitting these here, right? If it was just about the relics, they'd be moving out already. It could just be a miss micro, but I'm curious to see if it is about simply just getting the relics or if there's something else to it. There you go. So 1 moving out now. 1 still just sitting AFK. Coffee break, I guess. And these war junks are just slowly being burnt down. They're not, or normal junks rather, not really getting their value. Has built on the war junk now, but that's keeping out of range. Because remember, the TC has superior range to just snipe you out here with 8 tiles compared to the 6.5. So most of the fleet gone. This shouldn't hurt Nevix too much. I don't expect him to invest too much more into a fleet. It's just a waste of your resource at this stage. He realizes he has to get active on the land because every minute that you do not assault this caravan line is a minute you're falling behind. I feel like if we look at the income per minute, like he's ahead on the gold front, but that's because it's kind of skewed on the gather of the trade, I think, from the caravan, right? I do feel like Blaze is ahead. Yeah, you can see the jumper just kind of sporadically moving around, right? 1.3 now, going up to 1.5. Like, he's gathering so much this stage. There's over 20, maybe close to 30 traders working this route, and it's going to sustain him for a long time. So now Palace Guard, this is where he has to get active. Has got 5 Springles, so he can try to. Blaze with the forward outpost did start to build into these Springles to try and defend, but while he'll snipe out 1 or 2 Palace Guard, it's just too many to deal with. So he's going to start losing these outposts one by one. However, he does have a defense force here, right? He's starting to gather these relics, which is going to generate more gold, and he's also starting to produce man-at-arms himself. Nevix, this is where the slow trickling could hurt him. He's not really pushing a military line forward out from his main base, right? So he's always going to have this slow trickling, but his opponent, because he built trip racks on the front line, he can counter you. And he's just waiting to amass a good amount of man-at-arms before going in. And he almost outnumbers his opponent. So another outpost is going to be felled. But is there any tech-up attempt? Nevix, it looks like he's saving somewhat, right? He's about to have enough food to actually go for Tech 4. Which is where he could get fairly scary, right? When you think of some of these in-page researchers, like especially getting access to the roller shutter triggers with a Springwood army, that could be pretty lethal. So push in. We'll reveal the man-at-arms line, and he'll back away straight away. Oh, nope, I don't want that. The problem is Blaze doesn't have that mass to get past this man-at-arms army, right? We talked about man-at-arms aren't really about killing. They're more about just holding a line so that your opponent can't get through, or Palace Guard in this situation, right? And that's all they have to do, because the Springwheels will just rip apart the Mongols here. There's 6 of them now. And the problem for Blaze is he can't afford to keep backing up much longer, right? He's giving this ground, and eventually he's going to expose the marketplace, and that's when he'll start to lose out hard. Some more outposts going down. Trying to delay this further. One by one, these racks are going to fall. And he is starting to build an army back in his main base as well. But the problem is he has to get them out quick enough. They are starting to run out here. More racks being committed as well. He needs to repel this force right now. And he has the movement speed. Remember, he's got the Khan there. Chasing in. And this is where he's exposed the Springwood line. Nevix needs to get in the way of this. The lads are chasing in. Are they quick enough, though? He's going to re-engage. Get close to the Springwheels, and he blocks them out with the Palace Guard here. And there's the nest of bees. He'll turn and fight now. He has to. Small contingent staying here to fight with the Palace Guard. The rest trying to move across to burn down the Springwheels quickly here. And the Palace Guard winning out against these man-at-arms and these spearmen right now. Springwheels starting to be burnt down one by one. He needs to get rid of the nest of bees, if anything. He moves straight in. He gets on top of it. Burns it low, but it's still firing. Will finally be brought down, but a second nest of bees comes out, and Blaze going to lose his main military force here. Barely any casualties for Nevix, because remember, Blaze, he attack click past. He's trying to get rid of another one of these bees, but it takes so long. Yes, he'll get a second one down, but it's going to cost him his entire army. Now, the good news for Blaze is this buys time for continued trade, but has he got a second force ready? He's trying to switch up now. He's now starting to construct in the stables. I think this was too slow. This should have happened as soon as you saw the Palace Guard coming in, right? But instead, this delay is going to hurt you. Now, that being said, there are a lot of outposts here. So, decent amount of protection. Blaze, remember, he actually upgraded pretty much all of these, right? So, they got the arrow slits, they've got the Springwheels, everything. Minus the cannons, of course. And Blaze, he needs to find a way to actually wipe this army quickly. Because remember, Nevix did complete his tech up, and he has a bigger army right now. And that's a scary place to be. Not to mention he has access to all these unique units now, right? Because he went for the Spirit Way, and they're cheaper. So, one man-at-arms distracting on the siege. Not bad. Buys him a little bit of time. But his man-at-arms have to engage right now. Remember, the Springwheels are here, so while your opponent has the mobile Springwheels, you actually have the defense force right now, which is why he's trying to prioritize these outposts to bring them down. Lancer's starting to come out. Remember, there's no Spearman out from China yet. I say that. There's one hardened Spearman out from China. Sorry, my mistake. He lasted so long. But once again, not able to stop the trade. So if we look at the income per minute, gold over and ahead of Nevix now. Food and wood is still with China, though. No surprise there, considering they're able to have so much of that coming in from the fishing fleet. A nice sneak in here by Nevix. Look, he's wrapped round. The problem is, once again, the Springle defenses, right? The outposts are stacked. And I love the use of the Priest just to keep these caravans healthy, right? Like, it's such an investment. Yeah, they don't cost much to replace, but how long has this trader been running across the map? You don't want to lose any of them. And there you go. Small Palace Guard defense, attack force gone. And while this has been happening, Lancers, not many of them build, but more stable infrastructure coming out, so he can switch over fully into Lancers soon. Meanwhile, his opponent barely had any speed. In fact, he didn't even bother to get Spearmen still. So he saw one or two of these Lancers. He saw these stables, right, but he still didn't invest in it. And now, in the choke point, Nesta Bees looking for the focus fire, but it's going to force Nevix back. He sees there's too many man-at-arms here, which means he's leaving the Nesta Bees behind. They're going to burn it down. Movement speed buffs coming out. Movement forward with a charge. And Palace Guard in full retreat. No Nesta Bees, so he can't turn around to deal with the Zerg. And Blaze is going to repel Nevix completely back to his base. Still chasing down. More military infrastructure now being built up by Nevix. It may be too late if he loses this fight, though. Elite Palace Guard now coming in. Remember, here in Page, these are very strong now compared to the man-at-arms. More armor, more attack, more health, more everything. And that's why he should have the quality over quantity edge here. As I say that, the trickling continued now with Lancers joining the fight. This is where Nevix, it gets a bit dicey for him. In fact, you can see the main line is crumbling. The Springle's going to fall soon. Blaze just reinforcing much quicker. He has so much more military infrastructure here to just replenish. And push through, gets rid of the Springles. Looking deeper to see what's coming. And he sees it's just an infinite line of Palace Guard continuing out. And Blaze, with the composition, it means that switching up the Spearman is just not feasible for Nevix. Now, though, with this many Bracks, he could potentially do that. That being said, we talked about the quality, and it's ruled over him now. So many Palace Guard left, barely any army. Meanwhile, Blaze back in base trying to replenish again. But because he's doing this, he's never teching up. He's never going for that in-page, and that's why this is getting even more scary. And Blaze... You need Mangonels, if anything. You actually need to get siege weapons up here quickly. Because these Palace Guard Zergs are becoming problematic. And you really have no great solution right now. The outpost spam has been an interesting one, but they're so tanky that it takes ages to just burn through each one of these man-at-arms now, or rather Palace Guard. Just the deep fishing everywhere from Nevix again. Now capturing the sacred sites. He's gone for the other one already, so this is where it gets worrying. Blaze. Now in a situation where this game gets super dicey, right? So you start to trigger the Sacred Site countdown. So 30 minutes, if these aren't decapped, that's a win for Nevix. And Stonewall's being built, so it's going to make it even more frustrating and easy for him to defend with these slow static Palace Guard in these choke points. Lancer army building up. This is Blaze's solution. It's not a bad one. Remember, they hit hard. Charge in. Get straight into the mixer. Trying to target the caravan line means he's not dealing with the Lancers, and he's in too deep now, so Nevix has to fight, could not retreat. More outposts going down, and this is the defensive advantage that should push Nevix out. I say that Lancers, is there enough of them here? The Palace Guard are holding strong. They don't even need artillery support right now. But I think with the outpost advantage here, Blaze should be able to clean up this army. Especially with the tree killing if it continues. Mangonel's now being constructed, so here you go. Double Mangonel. And most of the Palace Guard gone. So Nevix now needing to rebuild his army. And the Spiral defense is sniping out these Palace Guard. They're almost gone. And even more outposts from Blaze. I mean, this is the type of tactic you expect out of a Chinese player, although usually keeps instead of outposts. But it's working so far for Blaze. And now with the Mangonels, more Lancers coming in. He will have the advantage, and this is where he can push forward. Nevix, in the meantime, has switched up into bombard cannons. Remember, these are tanky ones because they come out of the clock tower as well. And the forward keep attempt. The villagers are in. He needs to snipe them quickly. Remember, can't get more build than China. They build much quicker. These defenses going up. Is it 50 or 100%? It's just so fast. You can see it in the construction speed, right? And while the Springles are sniping some of them out, the keep is going to go down quicker than they can deal with it. The Mangonel's trying to move in to snipe out the fleet. And the villagers, they're still alive! But I think they're low enough that this keep won't be complete. It's going to be close. Trying to get rid of them quickly, but no! One more tap. Can they get it? They lose him. The keep's at 99%. It's not complete, so it will not be able to hold this area. That being said, with the hand cannoneers now, the Mangonels are gone. Heavy investment. The main army as well. Blaze, he does not have the quantity nor the quality to sustain here. And Nevix, he'll move on up. Only needs one villager to tap his hammer once, and like magic, boom, you're going to have a keep. But on top of that, with an elite hand cannoneer army, you can now start to repel the Treeculum that Blaze is attempting to mount to defend this area. And Blaze, I mean, this is when you're desperate. A small light junk attack on the back line. It's not going to do enough, though. The hand cannons, the big cannons, as I like to call it, the bombards and the baby bombards, going to be able to snipe out the army, snipe out the buildings. And the Palace Guard, more or less just given vision and a blocking force at this point. As these outposts are being shredded by the bombards. 2 of them are good enough to take down the outposts. And I think once this is gone, Blaze no longer get his caravans anymore either. Like, he's got one more attack in him maybe. But going for Trebuchet, I don't think this is the answer. What? Why? What is the plan with this? Was this a misclick? Blaze, this doesn't do anything against this. He's going for a Mangonel now, but these Trebs will have no effect. He's rolling them on in. He's trying to snipe out the bombards. I think that's his plan, but... And, I mean, of course, there's a keep to deal with, but you have to get for the bombards first. And look, the inaccuracy already coming into effect. Blaze learning a valuable lesson about why you do not build trebuchets to repel an enemy army. As his whole military district is fallen here. And a new keep going down. We said you couldn't get more build in China, and we weren't lying. As Blaze, I mean, the outpost construction, it was a cute attempt to delay the game and get to a comfortable stage, but Nevix, always superior in economy and always superior in military quality and quantity, will snatch this one away from Blaze as his whole base comes to a crumbling. And so does his eco dispersion as well, as he just can't get anything in the field quick enough. He'll call GG.